Hey everyone, so in the business world today, you probably heard two phrases thrown around constantly: digital strategy and digital transformation, right? They're often used like they're the same thing, but honestly, they're not. And confusing them, that can be a really expensive mistake. So let's unpack this and figure out what they really mean and why getting it right is so critical.
It really all boils down to this one question. In this era of nonstop tech change, the gap between the companies that are absolutely crushing it and the ones that just, treading water, well, that gap is getting wider and wider. And the secret sauce isn't just about having the flashiest new tech, it's about a total shift in how you think about your business.
And you can really feel the difference, can't you? On one side, you have the traditional enterprise. It's kind of clunky, weighed down by different departments that don't talk to each other, slow processes, and real-world physical limits. But then, you have the digital enterprise. Everything's connected, it's fast, it's nimble, and it's powered by data. That's not just an improvement, that's a massive competitive advantage.
So this brings us right to the heart of the challenge for any modern business. How do you actually build for this new world? How do you compete? Because it's way more than just launching a website. It really demands a whole new playbook for how you operate.
Okay, so if you want to win today, you've got to master three key things. First up is scale. Just think about how a software company can get millions of users without ever building a new factory. That's digital scale. Then there's scope. This is all about breaking down old industry walls. I mean, look at Amazon. They went from selling books to running the world's cloud infrastructure. And finally, speed. This is the ability to make decisions and act on them in days, not drag them out for months. If you can nail these three, you are building a serious competitive edge. So, how do you get there? How do you achieve that scale, scope, and speed? Well, you don't just wing it. It all starts with a plan. And this is where we bring in our first big idea: digital strategy. The best way to think about it? It's the architect's blueprint for your company's future. Now, this is absolutely crucial. A digital strategy is not just an IT plan. It is not something you just hand off to the tech department and forget about. No way. It is the company's core roadmap for how it's going to compete and win in the market. It has to be woven right into the DNA of the overall business strategy. A really solid digital strategy stands on three main pillars. First, customer experience. Think about Netflix, right? How it uses your viewing history to recommend the perfect next show. Second, your operational processes. This is about using things like automation in the cloud to make everything from manufacturing to HR run smoother and faster. And third, the business model itself. This means rethinking how you make money, like Adobe moving from selling software in a box to offering a subscription. Okay, but let's be real. A beautiful blueprint is totally worthless if it just gathers dust on a shelf. And honestly, this is where so many companies get stuck. They have the plan, but they just stumble when it's time to actually do the work. So how do you actually build the future you've just designed?
And that brings us to the second and just as important piece of the puzzle: digital transformation. So if your strategy is the blueprint, then transformation is the huge construction project that actually brings that blueprint to life. This is such an important distinction. Digital transformation is not just upgrading your computers. It's a complete cultural and operational overhaul. It's the deep, sometimes messy, and often difficult process of completely rewiring how your entire business works, how it creates value, and how it serves its customers.
So here it is, the core difference in a nutshell. Digital strategy is your why and your what. It's the vision, the blueprint. Digital transformation, on the other hand, is the how. It's the actual construction project, the digging, the building, the hard work of making the vision real. And you absolutely cannot have one without the other. A successful transformation needs a clear strategy to guide it. Because what happens without that blueprint? You just end up with a bunch of random, expensive tech projects that aren't connected to each other and don't actually move the business forward. It's basically a recipe for wasting a ton of money, time, and energy. Strategy gives you focus. Okay, so you've got your strategy. You know what you need to build, but what does it actually take to pull off a successful transformation? What are the key building blocks you need? Well, it boils down to three more pillars. First, there's the technology, of course, the tools like AI and the cloud that make it all possible. Second, you have process. That means redesigning your workflows to be way more agile. But the third pillar, people. This one is the most important, and it's the one that gets ignored the most. Without the right culture, leadership, and skills, even the world's best tech and processes are doomed to fail. And that leads to this really powerful insight. We tend to get so obsessed with the technology itself, thinking that's the hard part. But you know what? In almost every single case, the tech is not the biggest hurdle. The real challenges, the things that really derail these huge projects, are much more, well, human. The real roadblocks are things like people resisting change, that classic, but we've always done it this way attitude, and not having employees with the right skills for the future. Overcoming that inertia and actually bringing your people along for the ride, that is the true test of leadership in any transformation.
Now here's another key distinction we need to make. There's digital optimization, which is basically about making your current process faster or cheaper. Think of it like building a faster caterpillar. But true digital transformation, that's when the caterpillar becomes a butterfly. You're not just improving the old model, you're creating something entirely new and different.
So, where is all of this headed? As these transformations get more advanced, we're really standing on the edge of the next big leap, the shift from simple automation to true autonomy.
So what's the difference, really? Well, automation follows a script. It's like a really sophisticated robot on an assembly line doing the same task perfectly over and over. Autonomy, though, that's when systems can learn on their own, adapt, and make their own decisions in real time without a human telling them what to do. That ability to self-learn is a complete game changer.
And what's making this possible right now? It's this powerful combination of a few key technologies coming together. You've got AI and machine learning acting as the brains. They get fed massive amounts of big data to learn from. And it's all powered by the incredible speed and scale of cloud and edge computing, which lets decisions happen instantly.
This is the path we're on. The end game isn't just about making things a little more efficient. It's about building entire businesses and systems that are intelligent, that can adapt on the fly, and that are constantly getting better all by themselves. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. As our businesses and our systems become more and more autonomous, what is our role in all of this? How do we, as leaders, as creators, as innovators, continue to drive what comes next in a world that can increasingly innovate itself? That, right there, is the new frontier for strategy.